sheriffs ordered us to evacuate, and I just disappeared as the evacuation was taking place. I had to stake it out. This is my responsibility.
It was a long duration event, and we're seeing more and more fires that are just long duration.
I made up my mind early on to not bemoan my fate and to look forward.
Safari West is an open wildlife preserve. All of our animals are free roaming. Everything that's hoofed that we have free roam on 100 acres plus.
We have everything from giraffes, 10, 12 giraffes, rhinos, eland, various monkey species, 25 African species. We're very, very representative of what you would see if you went on a morning game drive in the Masai Mara, which is in Kenya, by the way.
So my thought process that night, because I already knew the owners were asleep, was to wake them up because this is their property, this is their livelihood, this is their home. And as a property manager, it's my job to make sure it all kind of runs smoothly. After getting everybody out and getting people accounted for, then we went into saving and moving animals to make sure, what we could do at the time, that they were going to be okay in the event that obviously we all had to evacuate and leave.
And he literally drove through flames to come to our ranch. And we got down here, and our employees, we have a 30-tent camp here. And they were checking people out as if they were getting on a bus. It was absolutely amazing.
Everybody followed protocol at the time and what we were doing and getting animals in the crates and moving on. But when you have the sheriff and the highway patrol in there and people kicking us out and we're trying to move animals and do things that we can, they're more worried about human life, we're worried about animal life.
Our priority typically is to put out the fire, but really our priority on that type of an incident is human life and to get people out of harm's way as soon as possible.
And the sheriffs ordered us to evacuate, and I just disappeared as the evacuation was taking place.
No, this is, Peter and Nancy, this is their livelihood. This is everything they've worked for 30 years, and yeah, I'm not one bit surprised he stayed back to save everything. When I found out he stayed behind after I left, I was a little irritated, but I'm not surprised.
I had to stake it out, and this is my responsibility. All night by myself, stretching out hoses, moving vehicles. It's just amazing what you can do if you apply yourself. I mean, I would grab hose after hose, and then I'd grab a hose that somebody had driven over the brass end of it, and it was crushed so you couldn't connect the hose up, and that'd irritate you and give you a little more stimulus.
We never thought we would see a fire grow to 30, 40,000 acres in a matter of hours.
It just came in way faster than anyone anticipated and went way deeper than we ever thought it would go.
The only animals that were really imperiled were our striped hyenas. And we leave their pastures that are very natural and high grasses, and well, that was on fire. So I would put out one area, and the hyenas would go stand on that area. And then I'd put out another area, and that area may have rekindled itself. And by the time the whole enclosure had burned, they just moved from spot to spot.
He knew what he needed to do, and that's what he wanted to do, was save his life and save all the animals' lives, and this is everything that he worked for, and I don't blame him for staying behind at all.
8-foot fences posed quite an obstacle, but the fire was, it was warming my bottom side, so it gave me impetus to get out.
So yeah, this whole hillside, I think it was that Tuesday or Wednesday night, we watched this whole mountain catch on fire, and it just went all the way across. And this whole grass hillside, all this stuff was on fire. Some of the trees are trying to grow back, but you see where it's all burnt through here. This whole hillside right here to the left, we watched all this go up one night.
It was a long duration event, and we're seeing more and more fires that are just long duration.
The day after, really, I've said it looked like a photograph of the bombing of Nagasaki.
So the decision was made to go ahead and just let the free-flowing fires burn because everything was evacuated. And so as far as we were concerned, we just held our perimeter and went from animal keepers to firefighters pretty quickly.
We had some touring buses for kids for field trips and things like that we lost. We lost a bunch of fencing in our lower compound. We lost some posts and fencing, well, morely posts around like our hyena enclosures and cheetahs enclosures. Thankfully, nobody got out. I don't know how we got so lucky. I don't know how the fire bypassed us and the compound. I mean, it was a miracle in itself.
I made up my mind early on to not bemoan my fate and to look forward. And we did. We lost 4 homes and 2 barns and our home ranch, and we didn't lose so much here, but we lost plenty.
I hear people sometimes comment like, oh, well, it's already burned, the fire's already gone through. Well, you know, the trees that are still standing that did burn turn into kindling now, and the grass regrows. So you're never, ever out of fire danger.
The fuels are out there, the opportunities out there. If the weather pattern presents itself and a fire starts, you know, we all have to take a little bit of responsibility to understand the danger that encompasses all of us, really.
Probably a little bit of climate change, just a little bit of forest management, it's vegetation management, it's how we treat the lands for the last 100 years, really. In our story, it was a wind-driven fire, so we don't know what started that, but there's plenty of thoughts that, you know, it was PG&E.
Right now, California law holds PG&E responsible, holds all utilities responsible for the damage caused by their equipment.
You have, you know, hurricane force winds pushing on trees that could push into power lines. You know, those are things that these trees are not used to seeing that type of a wind force. Therefore, accidents are going to happen.
I want to see them, pardon the expression, I want to see their feet held to the fire, to adopt best practices for safety, for prevention, for early warning systems.
It's an awe moment where you say that should not happen, and it's happening. But what we have to prepare for is that it could happen again.
When you look at the news, it sounds like the entire state is ablaze. It's not. You know, it's a mess, and it's, let's say maybe it's a new norm or something of that nature, but it's not the whole state. Trees are coming back, bushes are coming back, root systems from trees are starting to sprout. Grasses grew very, very well. It's a different world today than it was, you know, a year ago.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.